Okay, all right. You want me to listen to something? Better be good.
Let's rock.
Who are these guys?
You said they're 16? Nah.
Oh, the keyboard. Oh. I think I like this.
Kind of has like a psychedelic sound.
Like I feel like I should be on acid or something. But I've never tried acid. I swear.
I'm sure they have a following, but yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of them, but the music is great.
It's not just one of the many diamond necklaces that the Queen has. It is the crown jewel of 60s garage rock.
Lies don't mean a thing to me. I'm gonna make you wish you'd never lied to me. You got no respect for my name. You think I didn't know about your little game. And then she said she loved me. She said she loved me.
Millions of kids, literally millions of kids who were saying to each other, let's start a band. And that's kind of the way it happened with us.
Our connection to the world was through the music we were hearing on the radio or on records. But we were basically cut off from what was happening in the real world.
We literally spent almost every lunch together, almost every dinner together. After lunch, we would hang out in Tony and Todd's room. We were constantly talking about music. It was one of the most exciting times for music that's ever been.
Initially, it probably wasn't very good, but whether it was good or bad at the time, it was still so much fun, it didn't matter.
Charlie was the only one who had any formal training. Tony had a passion for guitar, and his early leads were all one-finger leads. But he was good. He could play, but it was just, one finger, and that's how it started.
In the case of a group like the Rising Storm, you didn't have a garage because they were at boarding school. So they had to kind of filch rehearsal time wherever they could in probably these closet-sized spaces, sometimes when they weren't supposed to be doing that, when they were supposed to be studying.
So we had to, and I still remember this like it was yesterday, for us to get into that building during the day, we would go in, and down in the basement, we would unlock one of the windows, and then at nightfall, we would go to that window, we'd open it up, and then we'd crawl through the window to get into this basement room, and then we would play.
Mr. Wind, please don't laugh that way. Mr. Wind, don't laugh as I begin to cry. Mr. Wind, don't laugh as I begin to cry. Mr. Wind.
virtually every prep school in New England and everywhere else was single sex. The big wave of coeducation wouldn't come for another decade or so. So, in that context, the only time you really got a chance to mingle with girls was at dances and mixers.
There were moments when I'd be up there playing guitar, looking it down at some dweeb dancing with a gorgeous girl, and I'm saying, schmuck, why are you up here? You could cut in on that guy.
One of the things that helped us as a school band that played at dances is that we played a lot of slow songs. So, so here's an opportunity for me to dance slowly with my date.
It was very important, particularly towards the end of the dances, that you had some slow songs, because that's when you start making out, and that's when all the action happened. And by then, you were completely and totally in love with the girl you were dancing with.
I can make it if I just don't see your face.
I mean, if we'd been in a regular high school, it would have been different. There'd have been girls all around, but the girls only showed up at the dances, and then they were gone. So, yeah, we miscalculated.
We came back to our senior years at Andover knowing we were going to do an album. Because it was part of the tradition and it was something we really wanted to do.
We wanted songs that when people heard them, they say, oh yeah, that's the Rising Storm.
I think if all of the tracks had been the kinds of covers they did, like with Don't Look Back, Message to Pretty, the record would have been forgotten.
It was a given that that songs that had been written by members of the band were going to go on that album. Clearly those were going to be tracks. And once that part of the dance card was filled, then we decided on what other songs we played would make it onto the album.
I hope that she might understand I'm still a boy to be a man, stranger in a stranger land, I'm lost to her. I had a girlfriend back home, and we were communicating by mail because we weren't allowed to talk on the phone at school. So, I'd send her a letter and I'd wait for her letter. And I was dealing with thinking about, well, she's a pretty girl and there are a lot of guys back there, and I hope, I'm not just one of them.
Her beauty can't dispel her youth. These words of mine were meant to make you see how much I thought of you, how much you meant to me. I've tried so many times, but what I try to say gets lost among my thoughts, and words are in the way. If I could find the words.
We were in the studio for 5 days in Framingham, Mass, at Continental Recording, and it's kind of an overused word, but it really was kind of magical. We collaborated, we argued, we solved problems, we worked things out, we were able to talk to each other and just make things happen. And the last song actually that we recorded was Frozen Laughter.
Shadows in the nighttime fill my dimly lit mind. When my heart begins to wander, my thoughts go far beyond her. Ah,
Honey, is that you?
There was a girl that Tony knew on the Cape at the ice cream store, and so it's just fascinating to me how these kinds of events morph into a song.
Very pretty and very mysterious song that has a very haunting quality, an otherworldly quality, not just because it's removed in years, in chronology, but also stylistically it's removed from a lot of the stuff that you hear all around you.
Where do you come up with something like that if you're going to Phillips Andover in 1966, 67? This is not a drug song. This is just sort of like out there song.
When we finished the album, I don't think any of us thought that it was all that terrific. And there was no groundswell of the student body to get copies of our album. We sold 300 out of the 500 we made. And then we all went off to college and forgot about it.
I think the intention was just kind of almost to make it a graduation statement. Not just a graduation from Phillips Andover where they were going to school, but kind of a graduation from this phase of our life.
They went to law school, they went to medical school, they went into teaching. Charlie became a ski instructor.
After Andover, we all sort of went our ways, and then in I think it was '81 is when this whole thing started.
My sister Harriet called me up one night, and she was very excited, and she said, "There's an article in the Boston Phoenix, and the Rising Storm is in it, and you guys are famous. The album is a collector's item, and it's selling for $500 to $600 in France and Germany." And I'm just stunned, and I say to her, "I don't believe this."
There are a lot of collectors in Europe, and the record was impossible to get.
Some folks in France started to bootleg this album by the Rising Storm. The original 60s bands discovered that their music was reproduced in a foreign country without their consent. On the other hand, most of those musicians confessed that it was somehow a pleasant surprise to see their music resurface for the new generation.
When the big American collectors wanted to have the Rising Storm, the big European collectors wanted to have the Rising Storm.
I think the more obscure, the more popular the bands got in the 80s and the 90s. So there was the Rising Storm had a bit of a myth, and they were legendary in their obscurity, I think, here in Holland.
Later on, the big Russian collectors wants to have the Rising Storm. The Asian collectors want to have the Rising Storm. Everybody wants to have the Rising Storm.
So I figured I better let the rest of the band know, so I called the school and got their addresses, and I sent a letter around. Tony probably picked up the ball from there and contacted the people from the article, and that's how we met Eric Lindgren. And when he got contacted by us, it was like he was meeting the Beatles. I mean, he just thought we were the best thing since sliced bread. So I thought there's really something wrong with this guy.
Would I rather hang out with the Rolling Stones? No. Would I rather hang out with the Beatles? Probably not. Oh. But it was just a huge kick.
We learned that there was a following, a kind of a cult following for us.
was this kind of puppy dog infatuation with the guys. Like they were walking guitar gods or something, which was a little like, really?
Someone in Japan hears about it and they say, I gotta have this record. And so it comes up on Goldmine. So instead of 400, it goes for 600. And then Eric hears about it, and then Bill hears about it, and then all these high-end collectors hear about it. They all want a copy. And there are only 500 copies and less than 500 copies.
Here was something that they couldn't even sell to their own damn classmates on the way out the door for $3 measly bucks. And all of a sudden there are these guys coming out of the woodwork. Like this is the holy grail.
The Rising Storm is a perfect example of music that a lot of us collectors wanted to own for a long time, and it was just beyond our reach. It was impossible.
If you put a copy of Calm Before on eBay, the price you'd probably end up getting would be over $6,000.
Every time I pass a record store, and I'm probably never gonna hit the jackpot on this, but I have to go into the record store and see if I can find the Rising Storm record.
I told you, we think that many are semi-gods. There are nobody else in their own country, but there are semi-gods forever in Europe.
It was validating in a way. Said, oh, you're okay, you know. But yet again, don't quit your day job.
Do you know anything about this band, Rising Storm?
Yes, I do.
Are you related to one
I'm
of
the
the Storm?
I'm the bassist son.
You are?
Yes, sir.
What do you think about your father's, like, notoriety?
I think it's very interesting how it exploded all of a sudden.
Our 25th reunion was in 1992. We rented some studio space for a day or two in Charlestown, and then we played at our reunion dance that Saturday night.
In 2007, I went to London and Rotterdam with the Rising Storm. My official capacity was acting stage manager. And in that capacity, I schlepped a lot of amplifiers.
First gig was at a little pub somewhere in London. And we came on stage, and immediately people, whoom, right up to the front of the stage, just packed in.
And people were going nuts. It was, there were fans there from Italy, from Germany, just from all over. Wow.
In 2007, I was putting together the 4th volume of my 5-day Garage Rock and Roll Festival Primitive here in Rotterdam, Holland.
And I play in a couple of bands, the Thanes and the Wildebeests. The Wildebeests, of course, which we played with the Rising Storm in Holland.
So this guy, who's obviously one of the wildebeests, says to Rich, are you with one of the bands? And Rich says, yes. And he says to Rich, well, which band are you with? And Rich says, the Rising Storm. And the guys in the band, they get down and they start doing the We're Not Worthy thing right there in the hotel lobby.
The crowd was sort of like a mixture of hardcore fanatic fans and record collectors. There was just a really, really cool energy.
But the Rising Storm were just fantastic.
These guys were kicking it, and you could really, really feel that the energy they had on stage, it transferred to the audience.
People in the audience knew the words to all the songs. They were singing along with the band.
They're asking us to sign stuff. We're signing body parts. We're signing albums.
It was really amazing, you know, how enthusiastic and interested and knowledgeable they were about us.
One guy who was probably in his 30s, I'm with Rich, and he came over to Rich, and he was from Germany, And he said, and this has been said to different people in the band, he said, I just want you to know, your song, The Rain Falls Down, got me through high school.
You know, when you break up and it's not your fault, or you don't think it's your fault, or you know what the hell you did, you know, it's just existential angst, you know. Maybe I'll figure it out someday.
I search endlessly inside the maze that is my mind through an eternity of thoughts, and I try to find the reason why a love for you and me is not reality. Someday when my hope dies, I'll realize each boy and girl that might chance to come together can't share love. It won't even matter whether they try to make their love grow strong. The rain falls down.
The moment of truth.
Okay.
Here you go.
Thank
God. To have Bob Irwin actually interested enough in our album to be willing to reissue it from Sundazed Records is an incredible honor.
It's a great record. It's innocent, you know, it didn't pretend to be anything other than what it is. You know, it was a record that was made for a gigging band to sell at their gigs, to sell to their fans. That said, I want that record to live the life it was supposed to live. It shouldn't sound like a glossy record that was made 2 days ago. It's got to sound the way that record sounded, you know, which is rough and tumble and energetic. My job, being that of a preservationist, is to aim toward that.
This music is going to survive into another generation, and that our children will hear it. It's survived already 50 years, which we never expected.
The high school years seem way in the rearview mirror. But this story suggests that actually you can go back and capture a piece of that.
I describe it this way. I say, we are big, big, big fish in a microscopic pond.
It's been 50 years of laughing at these people. And I'm talking not just chuckles. I mean, you know, pee your pants laughing, can't breathe laughing.
What I really bring to the band, though, is, you know, is an off-the-charts raw sexuality.
When we first get together, we're all still kind of mature adults. But after a couple of days, we all pretty much devolve into 15-year-olds, and we're kidding each other again like we used to.
With the same rivalries and insecurities, and it all comes out, and we drive each other nuts from time to time. but it's the same people, and there's essentially brothers for life.
There's a lot of give and take among us, and a lot of forgiveness, a lot of love, and it's just something that I think very, very few people have.
And if you had it to do all over again?
I wouldn't go near these guys.
Some strange ideas about life should be lived and things should be done. Well, I'm here to say you gotta do just what you want. And when they started their talk,